Welcome to Feral Faith, where life is messy, but we're here for it all. I'm Cassidy,
And I'm Amber.
two friends and moms just trying to survive and thrive in this wild, beautiful chaos.
We invite you into our living room where things may get a little fierce and spicy as we press in. No sugarcoating here, just real talk, real faith, and wildly present conversations.
We're showing up and letting our roars out. So buckle up, it's about to get real.
This is Feral Faith.
Good morning, Feral Faith. We've been laughing and giggling. It took us a minute to be able to hit the button because there's just some stuff you gotta be able to laugh at and not do it on the recording live piece.
But then I was like, I'm feeling spicy today. We should record some of these
Yeah.
conversations.
Yeah, we should. Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
good though. I often reflect on if we cannot laugh at our humanity, what? Like really, like we make some really retarded choices and
Yeah.
things happen to us all the time.
Yep.
I have kids.
Yeah.
Stuff happens all the time.
All the time.
Um, I was a boy mom a long time ago, and stuff happened all the time. And I'm a
Yes.
girl mom, and stuff still happens all the time.
Yes, it does. And it's not just the kids. It seems to be all the things. All the
Oh my
just the stuff with people right now is just hilarious. I don't know. Because what are you going to do? Like, you have to laugh. Like, we are in the midst of some really messy stuff. And I have not been able, I'm like, I'm either bursting in tears or I'm bellowing out in laughter. Because what do you do?
So we've chosen laughter, right? Like
Yep.
we have chosen to encourage one another in this season with lots of laughter, remembrance, and reflection. But yesterday I got to go visit a friend of mine who's in the hospital because they made some really poor choices and got really hurt and have a dangly arm now. And it was, like thankfully she's doped up. So she was able to laugh. Like it was almost like the epidural in pregnancy, right? Like all of a sudden you go from like all this intense pain, can't breathe and talk to all of a sudden, oh, let's have a party in here.
Yep.
And it was a party in her, in her room as they just kept giving her the happy pills. Um, but on my way home, thankfully, Cassidy was still awake as I was driving back from Colorado Springs. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then it started down this remembrance of some moments in my military career of practicing taking care of humans who are hurt, who have some dangly bits, as Cassidy likes to put
I
it.
don't do dangly bits. I did trauma for a long time. And I just like there's just certain things that make you go, oh, and cringe a little. And I
Yeah,
always had a
yeah.
hard time when like an appendage was not moving the way it was supposed to. Because they heard it, not because they were having a stroke or something, but because it's like, you did what now?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's in two pieces,
Yeah, what? And
My
okay.
friend was like, I am choosing to stay in the hospital until my arm is one piece.
Yeah.
And she starts retelling the story. We're all shuddering, like, stop telling the story. I'm gonna
Yeah.
pass out here
Yeah.
and I don't do blood. Like I am not your friend that can save your life if you are gushing blood.
I got
I'm
you though.
just
That's what friends are for.
I will turn away and I'll yell, Cassidy, come
Yeah.
save their life.
Yeah.
And then I'll do the trauma healing afterwards. Like I will take care of your emotions and your wounded heart after. But I will not be able to save your life if you're bleeding out. So here's my story. Today we're gonna just share some stories and we're gonna tie it in. God's gonna use this somehow to tie it into our conversation about friendship because I just was feeling a little spicy and have had some conversations with different peoples and different congregations and different relationship circles that all tie into what we're going to talk about today, Lord willing, if we don't go down the rabbit hole.
No promises.
Yeah, yeah. So I long time ago, I was in the military, and part of my training required me to go through some specialized training for survival. And one of those was for self-aid buddy care, but not just typical self-aid buddy care, like call 911 and maybe put this little machine on them and breathe into them. No, this was if you've got dangly bits, if you have things sticking out of you, if you are near death, how to save your buddy in the case of, in our case, was if our plane went down and we crashed somewhere. And, and so part of also that was going into water survival. So if our plane crashed into water, we one had to practice getting out of the aircraft and then launching the survival equipment. So getting those big boats to inflate and then get the people into it and to save your buddies. So they had a lot of injured people. Let me tell you, you can use some of those rubber practice things that look really real so my guy that I had to rescue had a compound fracture. So he had bones sticking out of him. He was bleeding. So they don't just like, oh, let's have fun in the swimming pool. No, they are trying to reenact if you went down, probably in a storm. So they had the lights dim. They're flashing the lights. They're spraying us with fire hydrants to be like waves. I mean, it's intense, right? So, and
Cinematic.
yes, and let me tell you, military knows how to do psychological warfare. Just saying, our government knows how to do psychological warfare, and they know how to use it in training. So after we had to like, okay, so we're in a sinking fuselage, right? The aircraft has gone down. And now that all this is simulation, but it's still very real. I mean, because they get you, you've gone through the training, but now you're going to practice it. So you're tied into your seat, you're sinking into the pool, the water is encasing you, right? So you're all like looking at each other going, "Oh crap, here we go." And then survival kicks in. So all of a sudden, you have gone from, okay, we think this is simulation to then now, okay, I've got to survive and now we got to get out of this thing and get your buddies and all the equipment. All right, so we get into the boat, this inflatable boat, and they're simulating this guy is like screaming because his leg is broken, okay? And my maiden name at the time was Brewer. So they're like, Brewer, save the guy, right? So it's like, okay, what are we gonna do? Compressions, get some, do a tourniquet. And I'm trying to get this tourniquet around his leg to save his life, to stop his bleeding. And I cannot look at it, okay? Because he won't stop screaming. So I slapped the guy, shut up and let me save you. And I told Cassidy, it felt like the movie Monsters Inc. when they were doing the simulation screams to get to raise up their energy level. They pushed the button and everything goes, boo, simulation over. And it was like, Brewer, we don't slap the victims.
I told Amber in all the years I worked in the ER, and even just being a mom when stuff goes on and you're like, I gotta, ugh. I've never slapped a person. Like I've had a moment cross my brain where I'm like, you gotta shut up. But I've never struck a patient. And I was laughing just in my head, thinking of the lights up, water stops, and it's like, what? What's wrong? I'm trying to save them. And they're like, no, that's not what you do.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure if they ever gave me what to do in that circumstance because my youngest is Miss Drama Queen. The other day I'm driving and a little spider, and she screams bloody murder when I'm driving. And I'm like, okay, take
Yeah.
everything within me to not don't punch my child.
Yes.
Like, this is not
Uh,
working.
yep.
I'm like,
Yep.
she's my only kid that I've needed to use a squirt bottle because she's screaming at something. I'm like, stop it. Just
We do
but I
that for,
didn't punch her and I
yeah.
didn't slap her.
Spray her in the face.
So I think I'm getting the picture of why God was giving us this episode today to talk about friends because we have friends in our life who we probably would like to slap. you know, I'm sure there's moments that there's just things that we're like, I wish I could fix them.
Yeah.
I
Slap some
wish I
sense
could
into him.
just right? Or because their life seems a certain way or they come across a certain way, we withdraw and we don't enter into that space with them.
Hmm.
Or maybe their trauma does make them a bit where it's really hard to be with them, or they're really difficult to be around. Or I just think about like our friendship and how we don't have to fix each other,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to fix Cassidy. She doesn't have to fix me. Actually, the relationship and the desire to be with one another creates a space for growth that, because we're surrendered to the King and we're surrendered to this process of being in covenant with one another, God just brings things up naturally because we're with one another.
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
was like, hey, that's not your created identity, or that's not how God molded you, or
Right.
just that way that we've encouraged one another to say, can you take that to Jesus and see, like, is that really what he's called us into? Is that
Hmm.
really what he has asked us to become like? Because he has told us to become love, period. God
Yeah.
is love, and he's told us to become love. And there are areas of our life that we're not surrendered to love, that we're not surrendered to Christ-likeness.
Right.
But guess what? The rubbing of the shoulders together brings
Yeah.
it out. Just like
Well,
my children, just like that
yeah.
screaming, it brings it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, it's gonna surface right there. It's going to surface. The stuff, and I have said this with my children. I've said it to my husband who he is in a very different place on his journey, right? Like our husbands are. Amber and I talk about this frequently, and it's one of those things where we have said God has equipped us to be the change agents in our home if we can walk this stuff out. And it's not to get a result. It's just because all I can do is work on me. And what does that look like? And it's the idea of, okay, Lord, this isn't feeling good. What about this is not feeling good? What do you have to show me? But then bringing it to your people to be like, okay, so this is not going away, or this keeps coming up, or I keep having this dream, or these feelings come up for me in these scenarios. And it's just being willing to have a person to be like, hey, that's cool. Like, what's up with that? Or let's pray about it, or just being in it to be like, that sucks,
Mhm.
And that's, I think, I don't remember if it was a pastor or if it was a therapist who basically said when people are going through really hard seasons, people withdraw because they don't know what to do for them. So it's
Mhm.
like, well, since I can't fix this, I'm just gonna hands off.
Mhm.
And I know Job is so misused when it comes to grief, loss, the world crumbling on you and your life circumstances getting thrown up in the air and it's a mess. But people always miss the part of Job when his friends came and they sat Shiva, or they, for people who don't know what that term is, they came and they spent days with him, and it was following his lead in his grief, and it was silence.
Mhm.
It's a it's
Mhm.
a it's a period of somber mourning, and they didn't offer anything until Job invited them into that conversation. And so often we forget that there's a process to being into people's icky, um because life is not, it's like God has said, when you go through the waters, when you go through the fire, like we are not exempt from this, whether you believe in Jesus or not, you're not exempt from it. But I'll tell you, when you're in the fire or you're in the waters and you feel like you're going to drown, like what Amber was talking about, if you're not anchored, like truly anchored on the rock, everything's going to come crashing down. And it's
Mhm.
in the dark nights of the soul when you start to really examine your belief system. What's that book? Where it says the mature Christian can't cross into that next threshold until they hit that wall and
Yes.
go, I have to
Yeah.
rebuild. It's a really, I can't think of the
Mhm.
title. It's a
It's the
really,
emotionally healthy discipleship, I think, is
yeah,
what it is. So
yeah,
it's that idea that we all go through that,
yep,
period. And the reason why we have to go through it is because there are areas of our life that are not surrendered to Jesus.
yeah,
It's fruit that we are reaping and sowing. And it's like we hit that wall because we live in the flesh and our flesh has to be dealt with. And there's areas that need to be surrendered. And
Yep.
so we hit that wall because it's like, why can't I push through this? Why can't I just, and unfortunately in our culture, a lot of times we just grin and bear it and we plow through it. And guess what? You're going to have to go through it again and again
Yep.
and again until you reach that place of surrender and say, you bow the knee and you say, Lord, take me through it. You know,
Yeah.
you guide, you be my good shepherd.
Yeah.
You be the one who goes before me. I got into an online argument the other day. I don't know why I do that, but dummy me. But somebody made this post of they took a Proverbs verse and they made this doctrine out of it by saying, if you have friends in your life who are not following your modality of Christianity or whatever moral, basically the proverb says that immoral friends will corrupt your morality. And I challenged that where I said, but yet the king of the universe who robed himself in flesh made friends with those people who we would probably shun, who
Hmm.
we would probably not ever have time for. And you're going to say that they're going to corrupt me. And I was like, I think something is wrong with our understanding of spirituality and morality if I think that I can be swayed by them. Now, I'm not saying that having Debbie Downers and all these people who are having a hard time don't affect you, because it can. But at
Hmm.
what point can we grow up in our spirituality and in our confidence and our emotional wellness that I can go into a space and I can bring love into that space and that
Hmm.
I can change the atmosphere, that I can be a friend to the friendless, a friend to the ones who are suffering, a friend to those that they can say, how is it that you're going through this and that I don't smell smoke on you?
Yeah.
Like we can enter into that space because the same power which raised Christ up from the dead dwells in us. And we either believe it or we don't.
Right.
We either can operate it and we don't. And if we are struggling to understand it or comprehend it, God is faithful to like say, hey, I'm going to give you some friends to practice on.
Yep.
And I wanted to, so I'm reading from this book today called Befriend by Scott Sauls. And he quotes C.S. Lewis in the very beginning. And I want to read that and kind of launch into discussing like how Cassie and I have applied some of these things. So this is from C.S. Lewis. He captures the heart of this version of friendship. He says, to love at all is to be vulnerable. Love anything, and your heart will certainly be wrung and possibly be broken. If you want to make sure of keeping your heart intact, you must give your heart to no one, not even to an animal. Wrap it carefully around with hobbies and little luxuries. Avoid all entanglements. Lock it up safe in the casket or coffin of your selfishness. But in that casket, safe, dark, motionless, airless, it will change. It will not be broken. It will become unbreakable, impenetrable, irredeemable.
Hmm.
So there you
Life.
have it.
That's life. That's life
Yeah.
making you hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Real love, real friendship is vulnerable. It's risky, it's costly, it's discomforting, it's disquieting and agitating like sandpaper sometimes, which is exactly what we were saying earlier of this idea of that to become relational, it's going to have to rub shoulders because those rough areas of our life, those hard areas of our life have to be shaved off.
Right. Well, and you have to submit to that process. And I think so many people get this notion of surrender mixed up. Like, what does it mean to surrender to the king? What does it mean to be in a mutual surrendering to one another? Because there are, I'm sure, listeners who have given their life to Jesus and they love him. You know, they're not wicked, they're not seeking their own, but they've been brought up in religion or they've been taught an incorrect theology, or maybe they've never done any of that and just have life that's happened to them. And I almost wonder if we need to open up a little on even what it means to be surrendered, air
Hmm.
quotes for those listening, to God and to each other. Because it's not about becoming a doormat, and
Mm-mm.
the idea of of laying it down when I have had those moments and those things come up in my life, instead of trying to run or fix it myself or fall onto my default settings or what works for me, it's, Lord, this isn't working. This feels really bad. Here it is. I'm gonna wait on you to give me instruction. Or when you call your friends, be like, this is what's going on. This is what's coming up for me, and it's, can we pray together? Or, hey, listen, sometimes I do call Amber and I'm like, okay, so if you're in this situation, what would you do? But there's a willingness to invite into that and surrender, i.e., consider and contemplate their advice to you, because it's like I've put the time in and I know you're safe. I've put the time in and I know you care about me and you care about my family and my children. We might not agree on everything. I don't know. I mean, we seem very aligned, but it's not, it's so much bigger than that. It's, this is outside of me and I need to get humble and not try to fall into my trauma settings or my default programming, and
Mhm.
fix it or run
Which has
away.
been established since we were children, right?
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, in our culture, we have been trained to not be very friendly and very vulnerable and very open because vulnerability from a young age was painful. Like, it was excruciating for some people. There was all these traumas that could have happened. There was all this separation that happened in your youth,
Hmm.
rejection or lack of love or abuse or something that caused on the inside for self-protection to be established around your emotions and around your feelings within your body. And so then when you grow up into adulthood and then you enter into maybe your walk of faith, unfortunately, you bring that baggage with you into it.
Hmm.
And we haven't been taught a faithful Christianity here in America. We've been taught American Westernism Christianity, but we haven't been taught faithful to die to this, what we've been brought up with, and to learn kingdom principles and how to love like Jesus loved. We then use words like, well, that's just how I am, or, this is just how God made me, or I'm a logical mind, or I'm a this kind of person, or I'm a that. No, actually, it's your trauma speaking because if we take First Corinthians 13 and we hold that up, like that's the standard of love. Like,
Hmm.
and love is a fruit of the spirit. So he's like saying, hey, first he says, hey, these are the nine fruits of the Holy Spirit, love being the top. And then in First Corinthians 13, he exposes this is what love looks like.
Hmm.
And if we don't align with that, if we don't come into understanding that you cannot approach God if you do not love your humans, because that is, he says that in John. Like, all the apostles are talking about and unpacking love, and we've made it about, well, if I have the right doctrine, if we believe the right things. And I just have to say, Cassidy, there is a misalignment. I do not like spicy curry.
Sorry. It
I
was
tried to
really
eat her
hot.
curry. She left me some leftovers and I tried to eat it.
I like spicy food. Like that painful spicy, but where it's not
Oh, it was
so
so
bad.
painful. It
Yeah.
was so painful, but I was like, I'm not gonna waste this. This was so
Uh-huh.
good. And then I was like, no, it wasn't that good. I just hurt myself. So
My mouth was on fire. But I was even thinking how in Landscapes of the Soul, the author says replace love is patient, love is kind with Jesus is patient. So take the word love and replace it with Jesus and see his demonstration of what that looked like. And
mhm,
you know, if Amber and I just functioned in a relationship of let's serve one another. Hey, I'll meet you here and do this for you. Hey, I can come do this for you. Hey, I'll do, and we just maintained a transactional space where we're not really getting into conversations and getting to know one another and just learning how to be attuned to who God made us to be. That's not relational either. It's being
mhm,
able to have that piece of your independence, but not I operate independently. It's I was made as an independent being. I am not the same as Amber. I have different quirks. I like spicier food than she does. we're into different music. We've had different life experiences.
And she can
Whatever
wear
it is.
yoga. She can wear yoga pants. I can't.
I wear yoga pants a lot, especially in this season of my life. I'm still cramming into them, but
I still
it's
haven't been able to, from my past, to wear yoga pants without a tunic covering my behind.
but it's this
And I think
idea.
she's wicked. I'm like,
I
she's
know.
wicked.
I
She's a
am.
sinner. She needs to be set free, healed, delivered from wearing yoga pants.
Yeah, just full of harlotry over here. But it's this is me and this is who I am. Like, guys, growing up, I wanted to be a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Like, it was my life goal, like the 1990s version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I was gonna be that or a paleontologist, and I'm talking me as like a 7-year-old because I love Jurassic Park. And being able to embrace those parts of me because as life happened, I buried those things.
Hmm.
I hid from my individual identity, and God says, why would you take your light and put it under a basket? Why would you do that? And if he wanted us all the same, he would have quit at Adam. Just copy and paste, like ding, ding, ding,
Yes.
ding, ding,
Yes.
So he wants variety, and there's a reason for
Hmm.
variety. And then we take our life happening to us and apply that into our friendship. And the things that happen that suck get to minister to people who are walking through really messy seasons in their life, but they don't get to touch that and glean off you if you won't be vulnerable. And I'm not saying standing up on a platform and sharing a testimony and then going back to your
Hmm.
seat.
Hmm.
I mean, like really being in conversation with them. Like, what was it like to go through that? What
Yeah.
was it like when this was going on for you? Because the connection and the vulnerability is what turns our brains off of I'm in self-protection. I must preserve, I must persevere into, oh my gosh, you too. And then there's the curiosity. And we went through this whole thing. Amber and I went down a rabbit hole one day about curiosity and what it does to the brain. We talked about it in our last trauma healing group, how getting
Hmm.
curious and what it activates in the nervous system versus just listening to somebody. But if you get a platform to ask them questions, what it does to people and how they can choose to engage relationally. It cuts down these walls and the separation, and people are starving from being separated. Like we're all in our freaking Alamos right now, and we're starving.
Yeah.
We need to get out of these self-protective prisons. Like Amber, I know you were talking to multiple people over the last week who are saying they're just I've done all these things for the church building.
Hmm.
I go
Hmm.
here, I attend this, I've been there for so many years, and I've got no one outside of that space.
Yeah, I was just reviewing the word, how they use the word transactional friendship and what they were meaning by that, because I'll define it here in a minute. Because some people may just, think it's another word, but I think
Yeah.
it's important sometimes to know definitions of things. So I'll give the examples and then we'll define it. So as I was visiting my friend in the hospital yesterday, another person walks in and she's like, "Oh my God, we know each other." Like it was just so crazy how God orchestrates these things. But I guess when you live in a place long enough, you start to make, and I'm very relational. So I'm a connector. Like I get out and I meet people and I'm networking. And this woman, she was like, "I was just reading something you posted and I was going to reach out to you and talk to you." She said, "I have been serving in my church for 25 years and I have zero friends." And she goes, "I'm starting to understand what you're saying is that we've made it all about supporting a system, this box, and yet we don't know how to be friends with one another." And again, that is that sorrow of like, I've stepped away, and guess how many people have reached out?
Hmm.
Zero.
Yeah.
Because the relationship was built on transaction.
Right.
And it was just like, this is what we're up against. This is what we're trying to unpack for our listeners is that
Yeah.
one, we see and understand this because in some capacity we too have experienced these things,
Yep.
but we're not harping at it because we're wounded by it. We're just saying, hey, there's a better way.
Yeah.
There's a Jesus way. There's a kingdom way that would actually help us.
Yeah.
And again, if that's not your experience, that's awesome. Turn that around, because if your cup is full, go minister to those whose cups are dry and
Yeah.
empty and raise up a disciple who could also feel satisfied,
Right.
because the majority are
Yeah.
not satisfied, and they're hurting and they're suffering and they're alone. And these transactional relationships are actually creating more separation and more loneliness, and it's burning out the people. So then
Yeah.
I met another person I was at this prayer meeting earlier this week. Just beautiful time. It's leaders from all different walks of faith. We just come together and we share vulnerability. We pray for one another. We share a meal together. And everyone in there is like, man, why can't our church do this? And I got to spend time with this one pastor who is seeing, quote, I'm going to use air quotes in case you're not seeing, revival in his space. And he's like, but my heart is sorrowful, is that they aren't willing to actually be relational. And so I shared with him a testimony. Then why are we baptizing them? Because if they're not willing to die to their culture and their society, and they're not willing to actually walk and follow the ways of the kingdom, then what are we doing? They're just having an emotional response. And then he says, I have asked for years for a mentor.
Yeah.
I have asked for people to disciple me. And he goes, it's a heart longing. And he goes, I have never experienced it. And so I'm like, how could he replicate that in his church? To if his heart's desire is like, I actually want this, but I have no one in a region that is trying to promote unity and is
Yeah.
trying to promote togetherness, but yet we have pastors who are crying out for the very things that we're talking about, but yet they just keep replicating the system.
Right. Right.
And so we have this constant transaction going on. So let me read what transactional friendship is. Transactional friendship treats other people as a means to an end. Means I'm going to get something out of this. I'm doing this because I'm going to get whatever out of it. When we relate this way, we come to view people more as resources than as human beings. Instead of loving and serving them as we would in real friendship, we use them to advance careers, platforms, access to social services, social services, social circles, increasing our self-esteem, because now I feel important because I'm next to this person, or now I'm in ministry, or now I'm doing something for Jesus. We're using it to impress others. Hey, taking selfies or pictures, or just,
Hmm.
rubbing shoulders with them. As soon as the relationship feels more costly than beneficial to us, as soon as the other presence of the other person in our lives cease to advance our personal goals, we discard them.
Yeah.
That is heartbreaking, because that is the majority of what people are experiencing in traditional Christianity.
Yeah.
Support the box, right? As soon as you get saved, plug you in. We need women in children's department. We need the coffee to go. We need all of these things to function for our little 90-minute gathering, so that we can check the box that we did Jesus for the week.
Or what about the people who hop from conference to conference to have an encounter of the supernatural, or to get a prophetic word, or to get fire, or to hear something really good from them? That's transactional. When you go and listen to a pastor and you're just taking information, you're not pouring into them.
Right? No,
You're not
no,
pouring into them. They're
no.
pouring into you with their knowledge, assuming, because there's a lot of stuff happening in the pastoral world with AI. So even assuming that
Hmm.
they're actually studying the word and they're spending time with Holy Spirit, how are you pouring into them? And are they
Yeah,
even willing to come into relationship with you, because we've made a separation from our leaders? That's why Jesus said there is no hierarchical structure. That's
yeah,
why Paul
yeah,
dismissed that whole thing and said there is no more hierarchy, because everybody needs to be unanimously pouring into one another and building the other up.
yeah,
And the gifts are not meant to be coveted. They're not meant to be taken and built a ministry solely off of that. You're meant to be equipping people with those gifts
Hmm.
too. Pastors are meant to be equipping the next generation of pastors and not just in seminary because
Yeah.
there was no college requirement. It was being able to get humble and listen to Jesus and you love people. And everything has been separated and transactional. So even if you think you do not fall into that, you're 100% in it. If you
Yeah.
consume the
Yes.
knowledge of people
Yes.
around you.
Yeah. Well, the picture came to my mind of the hierarchy structure. If you're seeing it on the video, it's like a pyramid or a triangle, right? So you've got
Mhm.
this hierarchy structure where the leader is up at the top, right? So they're preaching to all the people. They're the solo with the microphone up at the top, right? And let's say witnessing this so much in our time of that pinnacle being knocked down, right? Like that leader is getting exposed. There's so much exposure going on right now of the corruption, of the lifestyles, of the pain and suffering that they're causing in the body of Messiah. So that gets knocked down. So, but why are we not talking about the structure that keeps supporting the pinnacle, that keeps supporting that person? That if we all let go and walk away from that structure, what would happen?
Yeah.
Maybe it would get rebuilt. And there's a picture of like a cube, more of like everyone is connected to one of this three-dimensional cube, that my life is connected to your life. Your life is connected to this, and the puzzle pieces start coming together. Your gifts start coming together. The unity starts coming together. But until we deal with the manufacturing of that structure, and we knock it down and we're willing to let it go, it's going to keep replicating these
Right.
problems because it's transactional to keep the
Right.
pinnacle up. So if we're willing to knock it down, there's another type of friendship that is painful to a lot of people, and it's one-dimensional,
Mm.
where
Hmm.
you have this idea that there's one person within that is, so one-dimensional friendships prioritize sameness. The views, convictions, and practices are never challenged, and blind spots are never uncovered. Friendships like these cannot offer the natural, redemptive, character-forming tension that diversity brings to our lives.
Hmm.
So we have limits to some of these friendships,
Yep.
right? We're not going to allow them in. We're not going to get close to these people. Again, that what Cassidy brought up earlier about curiosity. We're not willing to be curious about the other person,
Yeah.
you know. See, one-dimensional friendships, while having the appearance of connection, can also be quite shallow
Yeah.
unless the single dimension that initially attracts us to each other develops into broader and deeper dimensions.
Yeah.
So I want to challenge our listeners that in order for us to grow, we have got to go deep.
Yep.
And I love how this book goes deeper into how can you befriend those who are challenging in your life? Like maybe you have friends who are challenging. Maybe you don't have friends and you need friends.
Maybe
Um,
you're challenging.
Maybe you're challenging.
Let's be honest.
I was a challenging friend for a while. Yeah.
I,
Until I dealt with how I gave love and how I received love, I was a challenging friend because if I suffered from rejection, so I protected, I did, kept my heart safe and kept it locked up and was like, no, I will not be wounded. I will not eat eggs, green eggs
yeah.
and ham. I will
Yeah.
not stand.
Well, that's
And then,
that C.S. Lewis quote. You get
mhm,
hurt and then you say, never mind, I can't let people back in. And if we keep
mhm,
living at arm's length from one another, we're really harming ourselves and the other people around us. And we're not doing what Jesus said.
mhm.
You cannot have both. You cannot serve two masters. You can't have two butts on two different horses. You can't ride two horses at once. It doesn't work. So it's this idea of if you remain in self-protection and justify yourself, you are not doing anything for anybody. And you're certainly not doing anything for Jesus. Sissy, I can't talk right now. I'll be out in a few minutes, okay?
I know, but they said they are doing the gingerbread house without you.
Okay, then go. I don't need to be there for that. Mom life.
Yes.
So
Yes.
but you can't. And it's not me saying you don't love Jesus because I think, again, so many people are already in threat mode. And when they hear that, they're like, oh. I love
I
my
love
Lord and
Jesus.
Savior. And I'm like, I'm not saying you don't, but he says faith without works is dead. He's not talking about works. Go and serve at children's, go and do this, go and whatever, volunteer. He's not saying that. He's saying, if you love me, these things I've shared with you change the way you function every single day. It makes you challenge yourself. It puts you into humility. It breaks down your belief systems, your threat mode, and you're not going to have the answers. That's why we need each other. And you need those people to be like, this sucks and it's not working for me, but it's not working and I don't know what to do with it. Like, how many times, Amber, have we called each other and
Mhm.
it's just like this doesn't feel good, but we've got enough fortitude built up now in this relationship of, and now we press in. I'm not going to shy away. I'm not going to react. Like I remember, so this last visit, I went out to Colorado with my daughter, and our plane got so it was a I've never had an issue flying out of Milwaukee to Denver or Milwaukee to the other places I traveled to. And this time it was weather in Denver, plane is
Mhm.
late. You can't come in because there's thunderstorms and we're so I was supposed to land at 6 o'clock. I didn't land till 8:30. And I got to Amber's house. It's super late. Her husband's tired, her daughter's asleep. And I had this sense of like, I am such an inconvenience for my friend. I hope that she's not upset with me because I've inconvenienced her. Caught the thought immediately and said, well, where's that coming from? And I've learned now through being able to have honest conversations and Amber being patient with me as I've unpacked these things and Jesus. Oh, I have been rejected because people do not want to be inconvenienced by me. My existence irritates people. I am not worthy of being able to have life happen to me and make a problem for others because it's been violently thrown in my face and I've been rejected because of it.
Mhm.
So it's like, oh, caught the thought, recognize the belief systems, but that isn't until you start to say, I think I need to start talking about this. Even if you think you're good, start talking about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Learn internal dialogue, right? Like one of the practices that I do to like learn my internal dialogue, and the Lord taught me this a long time on the floor when I was like so broken, where he's like, and there was a song, it's called Abba. And it's just, I just used to soak with it and say, Father, speak to me, show me how the life got into this place. And I had learned to shut off all of that inner chatter because it was so painful. And I didn't know
Hmm.
how to deal with it. I didn't know who to take it to. Nobody wanted to listen to it. Everybody
Right.
ran because they didn't know what to do. So
Hmm.
as the Lord was like, okay, let's get emotional. Let's get, and I would just lay there and just let him speak to me and talk to me and get in tune with my body, how my body felt, like learning to just breathe in, breathe out, and just was like, learn, and I'm giving this as an encouragement, learn what that inner chatter is. So that when you become relational or you start developing those relationships or you want to grow in friendship, having a person to say, hey, I'm having this on the inside. Is that true? And they can validate that or they can say, what? Like, because what's going on inside of me and what's going on inside of Cassidy or our other friends, there's two different dialogues going on.
Hmm.
There's you and there's me, and then there's this mutual. And learning how to work through that to develop a safe mutual takes knowing yourself, takes
Yeah.
knowing like, I can't keep shutting off and distancing and being unrelational and hardening my heart because a hard heart, isn't there something in the scriptures that he talks about guard your heart because out of it comes this wellspring of life? And he's not saying guard it by building up bricks all over
Mhm.
it. Welcome to our lovely podcast with all of
Feral,
the mom life.
feral Faith. This is my daughter's kitten, and she has hot spots because she's itchy, and my daughter just dropped her off, and she's in her pillow, her little
Yeah, that's
pillow.
awesome. Yeah, she
So
matches our logo. That's beautiful.
I can't
But
like why?
yes.
Why?
Well, this is probably a good time to start wrapping it up. We will continue these discussions because
Yeah.
we want to see our brothers and sisters walking in wholeness, walking in
Yeah.
relationship with one another. people are asking questions. I'm
Yeah.
just amazed at how people are paying attention to these conversations and they're
Mm.
seeing it around them. And it's
Yeah.
encouraging. So
Yeah.
please like, share, subscribe, leave us
Yes.
comments, give us feedback.
Yeah.
Do you like it? You hate it? You want to burn us up? I don't
What do
care.
you want
Just
to
give us,
hear? What do you want to
yeah,
hear us talk about? That's feedback is what started these last conversations was, hey, I would love to really get to know you and hear more about what like you do. And I just want to throw this out there about curiosity. Guys, just because someone is serving well and they're smiling as they're doing their thing or they seem whatever, they may really not be okay, or they may really just be hurting and wanting somebody to ask them how they're doing.
mm-hmm,
Genuinely,
mm-hmm.
genuinely. So
Oh,
just
that
be
was the
mindful.
third conversation. Remember, that was the third
Yeah.
conversation of this week where I called somebody and she's like, whoever calls anymore? She's like, I just so appreciate you calling. And I
Yeah.
was like, really? Like,
Yeah. And she's a ministry leader.
and she's a big ministry
Yeah.
leader. And she's like, nobody ever calls me. And
Yeah.
I was like, really?
Yeah.
Like, and all I ask her is, how are you? Like, I'm just curious. I'm curious.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not curious because it's transactional because I want to rub shoulders with her.
Or
It's like,
because I'm
I'm,
just doing it, air quotes. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to make that phone call because they told me to. No, it's because you genuinely care about people. And you
yeah.
want to hear how they're doing, and you can't fix it. It's not about fixing it. Be Job's friends, where when things are going on, you can just show up. And I think there are so many people listening who have lost, who've suffered, who've gone through really traumatic things. Their houses have burned down, their husbands have been sick, they've had something happen, there's issues. Whatever, guys, water and fire happens to all of us. How many people would have benefited from just having a friend to be like, I'm just so glad you're here with me while this is all
Hmm.
happening. And it's not because
Hmm.
they can do a darn thing about it. It's just knowing you're not alone. Like Jesus is with us, but we are the hands and the feet. So you think like, yep, Jesus is there, but boy, it feels really nice when there's someone in that fire with you. I think like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, like they were all in that together, right?
Yeah.
It's the idea of I'm not alone. I'm not alone.
Hmm.
And that's I just want to challenge our listeners like guys, we are in a turning of the world. We need each other. We need each other. And it's not a weakness, it's because we are biologically and spiritually made for relationship and it's killing us and it's killing our brothers and sisters and everyone around us. So get out of your I'm just not going to push her away. She's going to come back. So
Uh-huh.
just get out of your own way, get uncomfortable. You should be uncomfortable. Jesus didn't, he never get saved and be comfortable. Right? Wasn't that
Yeah.
on that
Yeah.
that Jamie Winship conversation was
Uh-huh.
like, I remember Jesus said, come to me and you will be comfortable forever. And it's like, no, that's not what he
No,
said.
no. He actually said you're going to die.
Yeah. Yep.
You're
Yep.
going to suffer and you're going to hurt and you're going to die. So get a friend.
Yep.
Suffer together. Learn how
Yep.
to suffer together well
Yep.
because stuff happens to us all the time.
Yep.
And it's not always the devil. Sometimes it's just life.
Yep.
And we just need to learn how to like hold one another well in those seasons.
Yep.
So
And you
go
need
get
to
a
learn how
friend.
to laugh and laugh.
Yeah. Yeah. So go make a friend. Go get a friend.
Yes.
Listen to this together. Challenge one another to enter into covenant to grow well with one another
Yep.
and watch your lives change. But here's a funny thing is that if you go into covenant with them, you're probably going to share in a lot of their sufferings.
Yeah. Then there's that. Yeah.
But it's fun.
It
It's
is.
fun. And
I
we laugh about it. Like, what are you going to
what are
do?
you going to
What are you
do?
going to do?
And
How
it's
about you just love? Just
yeah.
love.
Yep.
Laugh.
Hmm.
And plan vacations together because then that will
Just not a
really
cruise.
challenge.
Or like you can get it out of the way early, go on a cruise, and then you'll really see what you're made
Hmm.
of. But
Hmm. Or go
something
camping with
camping.
together.
That was I that felt easy. Now I've got my shelter
All right.
is it's a freaking deer blind, but it's fine. Last year I'm thinking of how we were camping and I've got this thing set up on my deck and I'm like, this would be more fun being crammed into a really small KOA cabin with our kids screaming and hooting and hollering and we're locking them in so we can just have coffee in peace.
Yes.
Oh,
Well, guys, thank you so much for listening today. We hope that we provided some laughter and some encouragement and some curiosity and
Yeah.
also some challenge to say, hey, let's drop being transactional.
Yeah.
Let's grow. But please do not call me if you break something or you're bleeding
That's
because
my
I
job.
cannot, that part I can't help. I'll send Cassidy.
Yeah.
We will send Cassidy. Um, but I can come visit you in the hospital.
Yeah. It's good.
I can come, I can come afterwards. I'll make you a
Assuming,
meal.
yeah, that's all good. Oh, Feral Faith, we will talk at you guys soon. Thanks for listening.
Goodbye.